The grand hall of the Galactic Assembly stretched for miles, a colossal structure of silver and glass suspended in the void above a distant gas giant. Light from the nearby star reflected off the crystal walls, painting the chamber in swirling shades of gold and violet. Thousands of delegates from hundreds of planets had gathered, each seated in floating pods that hovered a few feet above the polished floor. Every species was represented: the tall, crystalline quarry, the serpentine, multi-limbed Thrin, the amphibious, smooth-skinned Lantari, and countless others whose forms were so strange that even the most experienced observers could not immediately identify them. At the front of the assembly, a central dais floated in midair, pulsing with a soft blue light. Upon it sat the council chair, a being whose appearance defied classification, with shifting shapes and colors that suggested multiple dimensions at once. The chair's voice, resonant and melodic, carried through the hall, translated instantly into every language. "Delegates," it began, "we are gathered today to address a threat unlike any our galaxy has seen. It spreads faster than light travel allows, consuming every world in its path. Entire civilizations have vanished without a trace. We are next if we do not act." The hall remained silent. Even the murmurs that usually accompanied these warnings had stopped. Many of the delegates had heard rumors of the danger, dark fleets moving like shadows, leaving only scorched planets in their wake. Yet no one dared to speak of confronting it directly. The chair continued, its voice calm yet firm. "Proposals for containment or engagement must be put forward. Those who wish to speak, declare themselves now." A hesitant ripple of motion ran through the assembly. Some species shuffled uncomfortably in their pods. Many avoided eye contact. Finally, the Quarry ambassador, tall and faceted like living crystal, floated forward. "We suggest retreat. Evacuate the outer colonies. Preserve what remains. Direct engagement is too dangerous." A few delegates nodded, their expressions tense but approving. Another, a Thrin with multiple iridescent eyes, hissed softly, "Evacuation is wise. Others will handle the problem. We cannot risk our fleets." The amphibian Lantari, with skin that shimmered like wet oil, agreed. "Yes, to act without certainty is to invite destruction. We will watch, we will wait, and we will survive." The hall grew quieter, the delegates' confidence in inaction visible in their subtle nods and postures. Then the chair's voice cut through the stillness once more. "It seems there is hesitation. Is there no one among you willing to confront this threat?" Silence stretched longer than anyone expected, the kind of silence that presses down on the chest, heavy and full of doubt. Several species looked to each other nervously. No one spoke. The chair seemed to tilt slightly, as if surprised by the collective inaction. Finally, at the very back of the assembly, a small pod shifted. The occupants were few, humans from Earth, a planet many had dismissed as unremarkable. Humans were short by most standards, not adorned with shining crystals or multicolored scales. Their eyes, ordinary in shape and color, seemed almost fragile compared to the grandeur of the assembly. Yet something about their posture, straight, unyielding, and unafraid, caught the attention of every observer. A human ambassador floated forward. He was dressed simply, in a uniform that bore no unnecessary adornment. His voice was calm but carried through the hall with a confidence that surprised everyone. "We wish to speak," he said. A few delegates snorted. Some whispered that humans were reckless, unprepared, or naive. The Quarry ambassador murmured to a colleague, "They are from a death world. They cannot survive in normal conditions, much less combat a force that has erased empires." The chair's form shimmered with what could only be interpreted as curiosity. "Proceed," it said. The human ambassador took a deep breath. "We do not intend to retreat. We do not intend to hide. We intend to confront the threat." A murmur ran through the assembly. Many found the statement almost laughable. The humans, from a planet known for harsh environments and violent weather, had survived their own dangerous world, earning the nickname Deathworlders among galactic observers. But to engage a force that had destroyed multiple civilizations, it seemed absurd. The ambassador continued, "We ask only for permission to act on our own terms. We understand the risks. We understand that others may fail, but we will not sit in silence while our galaxy dies." Another pause filled the hall, this one heavier than before. No species moved, no pod shifted. They were not surprised, they were shocked. The audacity of humans had a weight they had not anticipated. The chair tilted as if studying the humans' faces. "And what makes you believe you can succeed where so many others have failed?" The human ambassador's eyes gleamed with quiet determination. "Because we survive where others cannot. We adapt where others hesitate. Our world is not forgiving and we are not easily broken. We will learn, we will endure, and we will fight. If we are allowed, we will act immediately." Some delegates exchanged uneasy glances. It was one thing to survive harsh environments. It was another to face a galactic-scale predator. Yet, for reasons no one could explain, the room had shifted. There was tension, yes, but also a new energy, a spark of possibility. The chair's voice, calm and resonant, broke the silence. "Your confidence is notable. You will have permission to act. However, know this. Should you fail, the galaxy may suffer consequences irreparable." The human ambassador nodded. "We accept that responsibility." The assembly, for the first time that day, exhaled. Some quietly in relief, some in disbelief. A few even admired the humans silently, though none would openly admit it. In the following hours, preparations began. Humans returned to their ships, which were unlike the sleek, ornate designs of other species. They were utilitarian, reinforced with multiple layers, modular and equipped to adapt to any environment. Other species watched, some sneering, others whispering. None expected the humans to last long. Yet on Earth, the story was very different. Cities buzzed with organized activity. Civilians and military personnel worked side by side, engineers designing new equipment, pilots running simulations, and scientists analyzing every available piece of intelligence about the hostile force. The humans did not panic, nor did they debate endlessly. They moved, planned, and acted, a system that had been honed over centuries on a planet that demanded resilience. One young human officer looked at the fleet as it prepared to depart. Her hands were steady, her expression calm. "They think we are reckless," she said quietly. "Let them watch, let them see what Deathworlders can do." A veteran beside her smiled faintly. "They will learn," he replied, "and not soon enough." As the fleet launched into space, light from distant stars glinting off their hulls, the observers in the Galactic Assembly remained in shock. No one had expected humans to move so quickly, so decisively. No one had anticipated such courage, such unity, or such determination. Far beyond the assembly, beyond even the furthest monitored systems, the hostile force continued its silent advance, unaware that something very different had arrived in its path: Earth's Deathworlders. And for the first time in countless cycles, a new hope stirred in the hearts of those who had long given up hope. The silence of the assembly had been broken. The galaxy had finally heard a voice that refused to remain quiet. The stars stretched endlessly in every direction as Earth's fleet moved through the void, their hulls glinting in the light of distant suns. The ships were practical, sturdy, and built to survive the unknown. Other species had scoffed at their designs, calling them crude, but the humans paid little attention. They had learned long ago that beauty often came at the cost of survival. The crew aboard the lead ship, Horizon, moved with quiet precision. Every hand had a task, every mind a purpose. Among them was Captain Alara Vin, a seasoned officer with a reputation for keeping calm in chaos. Her eyes scanned the holographic displays flickering before her, mapping the movements of the hostile fleet that had already destroyed dozens of civilizations. "Captain," said Lieutenant Rios, pointing to a display. Sensors detect multiple energy signatures approaching from the outer system. They match the descriptions of the enemy. It's a large fleet moving fast. Alara nodded. Estimate their speed and trajectory. We need to know how much time we have. Rios tapped on the console. They're moving faster than anything we've seen. If they maintain course, they'll reach the inner planets in 72 hours. The weight of the statement hung in the air. 72 hours to intercept a force that had never failed, never hesitated. Yet Alara did not panic. She had learned that fear was a tool to sharpen the mind, not to cloud it. Prepare the intercept strategy, she said. Engage their scouts first. Keep them occupied while we gather intel. We do not fight blindly. The humans' approach was unlike any other species had tried. Where others relied on overwhelming firepower or elegant formations, humans favored flexibility. Ships could detach modules, shift their shields to focus on different areas, and even deploy unmanned drones for reconnaissance and distraction. The enemy had never encountered tactics like these before. Far away, the hostile fleet moved like shadows. Their ships were enormous, black, and angular, designed to strike terror even before combat began. Sensors could detect no crew, no life signs, only the hum of immense energy reactors. To the galaxy, they were an unstoppable force, and yet to humans, they were just another challenge. The first encounter came suddenly. Scouts from the hostile force appeared at the edge of the star system, black shapes against the pale light of a sun. Humans launched drones immediately, small but fast, capable of weaving through the enemy's sensor field. They're ignoring our drones, said Ensign Malik, watching the monitors. Or maybe they don't even notice them. Alara's jaw tightened. Then we make them notice. Activate decoy signals. Lead them closer to the asteroid belt. We can use terrain to our advantage. The decoys worked. Enemy scouts, unaccustomed to tactical deception, pursued the drones, sending the humans' prepared fleet into position. As the scouts entered the asteroid field, automated weapons emerged from the hidden modules on human ships. Lasers flashed, drones exploded, and debris floated harmlessly past the humans, who had calculated the paths precisely. Observers from other species had been monitoring the engagement through long-range scanners. Many expected human ships to be destroyed almost instantly. Instead, they saw something extraordinary. Humans adapting mid-combat, shifting their formations, using terrain, and exploiting weaknesses that no one else had ever noticed. A Quarry observer whispered to a colleague, "They survive by luck." "No," replied another, eyes wide. "It's not luck. They learn faster than the enemy can react." The battle escalated over the next hours. Each encounter was brief but intense, a test of wits as much as firepower. Humans moved with an unorthodox style that frustrated the enemy. Shields were rotated, drones sacrificed to confuse sensors, and traps laid in seemingly empty space. By the end of the first engagement, the humans had lost a few ships, but the enemy scouts had been neutralized, and valuable data had been collected. Back aboard Horizon, Alara addressed her officers. "We are not winning yet, but we are surviving. And survival is the first step to victory. Every encounter teaches us something. Remember that." Meanwhile, communications from the Galactic Assembly filtered through. Many species were astonished. Some praised humanity quietly, others were incredulous, unwilling to believe what they saw. The Thrin ambassador sent a message to their fleet. "Do they understand the scale of the threat?" His colleague shook his multiple eyes. "I do not think so." Yet they act as though they do. This is unusual. Days passed. Each human engagement revealed more about the enemy. Their attacks were relentless, their methods efficient, but humans adapted. They experimented constantly, changing tactics mid-battle, analyzing outcomes instantly, and teaching the crew new strategies as quickly as data could be processed. In one particularly daring maneuver, human ships entered a region of space known for its magnetic storms, a place too dangerous for most fleets. The enemy followed, underestimating the humans' ability to navigate the hazardous environment. Ships twisted and turned among the storms, while automated defense systems compensated for magnetic interference. Energy beams misfired, and enemy ships collided with one another. By the end, several enemy vessels had been disabled without a single human casualty. The reports reached the assembly again. The Quori ambassador's voice was tense. How are they doing this? The Lantari delegate shook its head. They should not be able to survive here, and yet they do more than survive. They fight back. But humans faced more than just combat. Internal challenges tested their unity. Engineers argued over modifications, pilots debated formations, and analysts questioned tactics. Yet, every conflict ended in compromise, guided by the shared goal of survival and victory. Unlike other species, humans did not seek perfection. They sought results. Captain Alara walked through the corridors of Horizon, observing her crew. Civilians worked alongside soldiers, scientists consulted navigators, and engineers listened to pilots. There was no hierarchy that stifled creativity, no arrogance that ignored danger. Every individual mattered. A young engineer approached her. "Captain, we found a pattern in their attacks. They always strike from multiple directions, but they never fully predict environmental hazards. If we use debris fields, asteroid belts, and ion storms more aggressively, we can gain the upper hand." Alara smiled faintly. "Exactly. That is why we survive. Adaptation is our greatest weapon. Every hazard is an advantage if you understand it." As the humans pushed further into the system, the enemy fleet became more cautious. They had encountered resistance unlike anything in their history. Ships that had destroyed worlds now found themselves puzzled, unable to predict the humans' moves. On a distant observation platform, a group of alien scientists debated the situation. "They are extraordinary," one said. "No known species could survive this long against them." Another shook its head. "It is not the ships, it is not the weapons, it is their minds. Humans see possibilities where others see walls." Even the hostile force began to show signs of frustration. Minor miscalculations, overreactions, and hesitations appeared in their movements for the first time. Humans, using careful analysis, began exploiting these weaknesses. The first true test came when humans encountered a massive enemy battleship, far larger and more powerful than anything they had faced before. Its energy shields were nearly impenetrable, its weapons capable of destroying entire fleets in seconds. Captain Alara studied the readings. "We cannot win by force. We must win by cunning. Deploy decoys, lead it into the nebula, and use the storm to disrupt its sensors." The crew executed the plan flawlessly. The battleship pursued them into the nebula, where electromagnetic storms interfered with its systems. Drones disabled key modules, and human ships struck in coordinated bursts, exploiting every moment of weakness. Finally, the massive vessel was immobilized. Cheering echoed throughout Horizon, though the victory was tempered by the knowledge that the enemy still had countless ships. Yet, the morale boost was immeasurable. Humans had proven not only to themselves, but to the galaxy that they could confront what others could not. Back in the Galactic Assembly, the silence of disbelief had transformed into cautious admiration. Species that had doubted humanity now debated in hushed tones. "Perhaps they are the key," one said. "Perhaps survival is not about perfection, but about resilience." Captain Alara observed the situation with a calm mind. She knew this was only the beginning. The enemy was vast, relentless, and clever. But humans had one advantage no other species truly understood: their willingness to endure, to adapt, and to learn from every failure. And as the stars stretched endlessly around them, Earth's Deathworlders prepared for the battles to come. Their unity, ingenuity and courage shining brighter than any weapon. The void of space seemed endless, yet every human aboard the fleet felt the weight of purpose pressing upon them. Captain Alara Vin stood on the command deck of Horizon, staring at the holographic displays that mapped the enemy's movements. The hostile force had grown cautious after repeated engagements, but it remained massive, its ships overwhelming in number and firepower. "This is it," Alara said softly, "the moment we've been preparing for." Lieutenant Rios leaned over her shoulder. "Do we have enough information, enough resources?" Alara nodded. "We have what we need. We've studied their attacks, learned their weaknesses, and adapted. We cannot fight them all at once, but we can fight smart." The human strategy was simple but bold. Instead of attacking the entire fleet, they would isolate command vessels, disrupt communications, and use environmental hazards to divide and conquer. It was a plan no other species would dare attempt. To the humans, it was the logical path, a combination of patience, ingenuity, and courage. As the fleet approached the central sector of the enemy formation, a wave of tension passed through every ship. Sensors detected hundreds of enemy vessels converging, their weapons primed and energy shields glowing ominously. Most species would have retreated, calculated losses, or waited for reinforcements. Humans moved forward, unwavering. A young ensign, barely trained in fleet tactics, whispered to a colleague, "We're going to face everything at once." The colleague smiled faintly. "Exactly, and we'll show them why they should never underestimate Earth's Deathworlders." The first phase of the attack began with drones launched in synchronized patterns, acting as both scouts and distractions. Enemy ships swerved, their sensors overwhelmed by the unexpected movements. Human vessels, built for adaptability, rotated shields, modified weapons, and deployed small strike teams. Captain Alara's voice cut through the comm channels, calm and clear. "Focus on their command vessels. Do not engage their scouts unless necessary. Use every advantage the environment offers. Move fast, think faster." The humans led the enemy through a dense asteroid field, where gravity wells and debris disrupted the larger ships' maneuvers. Smaller human ships darted through narrow passages, striking unexpectedly, then vanishing before retaliation could reach them. The enemy, for the first time, showed hesitation. From observation decks across the galaxy, delegates from other species could hardly believe what they were seeing. The humans' tactics were chaotic, yes, but precise in their unpredictability. The Quora ambassador whispered to a colleague, "They are not just surviving, they are controlling the battle." Hours passed in a blur of strategy and counter-strategy. Human ingenuity was on full display. Engineers on the ships adjusted shields mid-combat, rerouted power to reinforce weak points, and adapted weapons to exploit enemy vulnerabilities in real time. Pilots executed daring maneuvers that seemed reckless but were calculated with astonishing precision. During one critical moment, the enemy concentrated fire on Horizon, attempting to destroy the command ship. Energy beams tore through the void, hitting other ships and scattering debris. Yet the human crew was ready. Alara issued orders calmly. "Deploy countermeasures. Split the formation. Use the nebula to mask our movements." The fleet responded like a single organism. Ships detached modules to absorb damage, drones created false targets, and navigational thrusters guided vessels through impossible paths. The enemy fired relentlessly, yet every attack was anticipated and countered. By the end of the engagement, several enemy command ships were incapacitated, their communications severed, their formation in disarray. In the aftermath, humans regrouped. Captain Alara addressed her fleet over the comm system. "This is not the end. The enemy is vast, but they are not infallible. We have learned, adapted, and survived. That is our greatest weapon. Every mistake they make is an opportunity for us." Meanwhile, the galaxy watched. Species that had once doubted humanity now spoke in hushed tones of awe and disbelief. "They are unstoppable," said one Lantari observer. "No species has ever endured what they have endured and thrived." The human's advantage was not sheer firepower, it was mindset. While other civilizations relied on precision, perfection, and rigid strategy, humans relied on persistence, adaptability, and cooperation. Every human on each ship contributed ideas, solved problems, and acted decisively. The enemy could not anticipate such creativity. As the battle stretched over days, the hostile fleet faltered. Ships collided, systems overloaded, and confusion spread among the once organized formations. The humans struck at weaknesses with calculated precision, exploiting every opportunity without hesitation. In one daring maneuver, Captain Alara led a small squadron directly into the enemy's central command area. Using environmental anomalies and precise calculations, they bypassed defenses, infiltrated the central command vessels, and deployed disruption systems that neutralized shields and communication arrays. The enemy fleet, now disoriented, struggled to respond. Their attacks became uncoordinated, their movements predictable. Human fleets pressed forward relentlessly, exploiting every opening. Back on Earth, people watched news feeds from the fleet. Scientists, engineers, and civilians alike celebrated every success. Humanity's resilience and creativity were on full display, inspiring hope across the galaxy. In the Galactic Assembly, silence returned, not of fear, but of astonishment. The delegates had watched species after species fall to this unstoppable force. Now they saw humans confront it, adapt, and overcome. Many species reconsidered their previous hesitations. If humans could survive, perhaps there was hope for the galaxy after all. The final confrontation came when the remaining enemy vessels attempted to regroup for a decisive strike. Human ships, having learned every movement, anticipated the attack. They deployed countermeasures, set traps in open space, and drew the enemy into a complex web of hazards. Captain Alara observed the enemy flagship, a massive vessel bristling with weapons. She knew the fleet could not win by brute force alone. "We finish this with strategy," she said. "Strike where they are weakest, not strongest. Remember, the fight is ours because we refuse to give up." The humans executed the plan with flawless coordination. Small squads of ships disabled critical systems on the flagship, while the larger fleet engaged from multiple angles. The flagship faltered, its energy shields collapsing under continuous adaptive assaults. At the critical moment, human engineers aboard a boarding craft infiltrated the flagship, deploying systems that neutralized remaining weapons and redirected power away from its propulsion. The enemy fleet, seeing their command vessel crippled, scattered in confusion. By the time the battle ended, the enemy fleet had lost nearly half its vessels, with the remainder retreating into the void. The humans' losses were significant but far lower than expected. They had survived, adapted, and ultimately won. In the aftermath, Captain Alara addressed her fleet. "We did not win because we are the strongest. We won because we never stayed silent, never gave up, and never stopped thinking. That is what makes us different. That is what makes us human." Across the galaxy, other species began to acknowledge humanity's strength. The Quori, Thrin, Lantari, and countless others recognized that humans' resilience and creativity were unmatched. The galaxy had long underestimated the Deathworlders, and now it would never make that mistake again. In the Galactic Assembly, delegates awaited the humans' report. For once, no one dared to speak first. They had witnessed courage, ingenuity, and survival on a scale unlike anything before. Humanity had not sought praise or dominion. They had acted because they could not ignore the threat. Captain Alara, representing Earth, spoke calmly to the assembly. "We do not seek power. We do not seek glory. We acted because silence does not save worlds. We acted because action preserves life. That is all we have to offer." The assembly remained quiet, absorbing her words. Some delegates felt relief, others awe, and some a quiet fear. Humans had proven that survival was not about perfection, superiority, or elegance. Survival was about persistence, cooperation, and the refusal to remain silent in the face of annihilation. Back aboard Horizon, Alara looked at her crew. Each one bore scars, exhaustion, and fatigue, yet their eyes shone with determination and pride. They had faced an enemy that had destroyed countless civilizations and survived. A young pilot approached. "Captain, what now?" Alara smiled. "Now we continue. We rebuild. We help the galaxy prepare for the next challenge. And we make sure that no voice, no life, and no world is ever ignored again." The fleet set course for home, carrying with it a message that would echo throughout the galaxy. Humans were not to be underestimated, not to be silenced, and never to be dismissed. They had arrived, and their presence had already changed the course of history. In the quiet moments as stars streaked past the observation windows, Alara reflected on the journey. Humanity had not only survived, it had thrived against impossible odds. They had learned, adapted, and endured. And the galaxy, once filled with silence and fear, now listened. For the first time, many civilizations understood what Earth's Deathworlders truly represented: courage, ingenuity, and the unyielding spirit of survival. And that spirit would shape the galaxy for generations to come. The silence of the assembly had been broken. The Deathworlders had arrived, and the galaxy would never be the same. Everyone stayed silent. Then Earth's Deathworlders arrived.